So we're starting 1 Peter chapter 5 as we make through our studies in this epistle from the Apostle Peter. Up until this point we've seen that it's based around persecution. It's based around hard times that people come across. The last time we'd looked at the need as believers to have love for each other. Sounds quite easy, but sometimes it's a hard thing to do. That we need to minister to each other, that we've all been gifted spiritual gifts. And whatever we've been gifted with, we've got to do something with it. To minister to each other, to input into each other's lives. If we're given a gift that's involved in speaking in a kind of verbal thing, then to do that to the best of our ability. If we serve in some shape or form, then to serve to the best of our abilities. And no matter what we do, we have to glorify God in it. So that was an instruction, an exhortation to us all within the church. As we get to chapter 5, the focus goes to another portion of people within the church as well. It goes to elders within the church. At all times, people need good leadership, but especially during times of persecution, during hard times, the people of God need good people above them and round about them. When Jesus walked on this earth, when he observed how people lived and how the leadership was at the time and how people were being shepherded, he said they were like sheep having no shepherd. So when we come to the New Testament, we've been given instructions how that situation's not to be, that Jesus has given us instructions how the church should be set up. It was his plan that fellowship should have congregations of people, and they should be overseen by elders, by qualified men within the church whose responsibility was to shepherd, to look after these people. So as we come to chapter 5, it says, "The elders who are among you I exhort, of whom I am a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that will be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God which is amongst you, serving as overseers, not by constraint but willingly, and not for dishonest gain but eagerly. Nor as being lords over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away." So in the New Testament, here we're kind of called elders, there's the term overseers. Within the New Testament, within the many books here, terms are used quite interchangeably. So when you see the word elder, you can also see the word overseer, pastor, bishop, and they're used in different portions meaning the same person within the New Testament. The term's not important. What the important thing is having the right person in the post. And we've got the qualifications for elders in 1 Timothy and Titus. Men who have been tried and tested, that know the word of God, that deal with things properly, deal with their own lives in a proper fashion. And it's with that in mind that Peter's saying, the people of God are going through hard times. They need the right people round about them to help them through these times, to make sure they're pointed in the right direction. They're being fed with the correct scriptures, and they're having the support that they need. And I suppose in some sense, why is Peter having to tell the elders this? Why is he having to encourage the elders? Because leaders, the same as anyone else, can be discouraged. Elders themselves can go through hard times, difficult times, down times. And Peter's wanting them to be encouraged at this moment in time as well. And what he's saying to them is, serve well, and at the end of the day, for your good service, you'll be rewarded by God for it. No matter what we do in our lives as we're serving God, the only rewards that we should be seeking are the ones that he gives us. Yes, it's good for people to say to us, "You've done a really good job," give us a pat on the back and give us some encouragement. And we should be doing that, because a word of encouragement does a whole world of good for ourselves. But we individually shouldn't be seeking the applause of those round about us. We should be seeking only what God gives us. So encouragements here come from Peter, the Apostle Peter, who says, "I'm an elder myself and I'm giving you this information here." It wasn't a command to them, but he is giving them encouragement, being a kind of fellow elder himself to the people within the church here. Peter understood what it meant to be discouraged, what it meant to doubt. He came from a point of understanding and knowledge, and he knew how to encourage the people round about him as well. As you're sitting there this morning, what kind of feelings, what kind of thoughts have you had within church with your own walk? doubts, hard times, difficult times, trials. I'm sure you could write a wee list yourself. But what do you do with it? When you get through the other side and you've learned a lesson, you've had the encouragement for other people, what do you do then? You be the people that encourage us to build up the people round about you as well. You might not have a specific title that you have to undertake within the church, but you're all part of the body to encourage and to build up the fellow believers round about you as well. So he drives home the point and says, shepherd the flock which is amongst you, serving as overseers. His encouragement is to shepherd the flock of God, to shepherd, to pastor, to look after. An important task. Because of an important task, then it's certain people that should undertake that task. And as I said, go to 1 Timothy, go to Titus, to see all the kind of information there regarding that post. But the thing is, shepherd the flock which is amongst you. So that's your local congregation, your local body of believers, those that are here and now amongst us. The flock that is gathered. It's not a case of going for here and there, dotting about the place, a wee bit of teaching here and seeking adulation for all different places and all different people. The planted point is here for the elder, for the pastor, for the overseer, whatever term you want to use. Look after the flock that's under your charge. Who does God hold the leader accountable for? It's those under their charge. Now, it's good to go about and maybe do messages at other churches and do a bit of teaching here, there, oversee input into other people's lives that are maybe not part of the local congregation, but the main focus should be that local point. So what does it mean to be serving as an overseer? Well, an overseer, quite simply, oversees, gives oversight over things that are going on, has that broad overall look over the church, to be aware of what's going on spiritually within the church, physically within the sheep, the people of the church, to manage, coordinate, deal with the things that are needing dealt with, to run the church, to organise the church, to plan the church. And that's not an easy task. And Peter's giving encouragement to the elders. It's not an easy task. Be encouraged in it. When you expend yourself, your own efforts, your own time, if you do it and you do it well with the right attitude, God will reward you for it. And that is an important thing. And no matter what we do in our spiritual life, we've always got to bring it back to that point. What is God thinking about what I'm doing just now? Is God going to be happy? If the answer is yes, thumbs up, we continue on with it. And if we're not getting that kind of confirmation within our spirits, then we know we've got to do something a bit different and come at it from a different angle. It says, not by compulsion, but willingly. Have you ever been volunteered to do something? Anything? It's a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Somebody can't volunteer you to do something. A volunteer is something that you do yourself. You volunteer your own time. I know within my own work I coordinate cycle training within schools and I do instructor training courses and things. One of the first questions I normally ask at a training course is, okay, so who's here because you volunteered? Hands up. Okay, who's here because you've been volunteered? And throughout the course there you can normally tell the difference in how people take to the course, their interest, their enthusiasm, the look in their face, if their mouth goes up, if their mouth goes down. Elders are to serve not by compulsion but willingly, not because they have to or somebody's told them to do it, but because they want to do it. Might be a hard task, they might have to do things that are difficult, but it's a willing thing that they undertake. And if it's not willing, then there's something wrong there, and that person has to look at themselves and ascertain the whys and the wherefores and deal with that situation. But often we can see somebody working away, doing all the things right, they're ticking the boxes, everything's looking good. But we only see the external, don't we? We see the veneer. And sometimes the motive behind the person's maybe slightly different. We can serve and look all happy and jolly, but on the inside you're like, I really don't want to be doing this, but we've got the painted smile on. And I'm sure a lot of us paint the smiles on for many different things within our own lives. But it's saying here, elders, do it willingly, not out of constraint. Do it because you want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then you really shouldn't be doing something. Do it for God and do it willingly. Not for dishonest gain, but eagerly. Not for dishonest gain, not to get money. Okay, not to get money, but do it eagerly, not to lord it over the people. It's essential and motive is important. There's nothing wrong to be given money for doing something, even within the church. The church speaks about, if you teach, if you serve, the worker's due his wage. But if that's the reason that somebody does something, that is wrong. Again, you can turn on your God TVs and your different channels and see the people that do things for money. I will pray for you if you donate so much. You will get this healing cloth if you give me this. That is dishonest gain, and that's not the way it should be. People should serve, give out from the Lord, expel their gifts to those round about them because they want to do it, not because they're getting something back from it. The only thing that we should seek to get back, or be pleased to get back, is that blessing from God at the end of the day. So how shepherds use their authority is a major concern to God. It's about motive, it's about eagerness, and it's about how they exert the authority that they have been given as well. At the end of the day, power can corrupt. Power can corrupt. In business, in family, and also in church as well. And we need to be careful that as we are going about our Christian lives, being involved, maybe visiting other ministries or anything else that we're involved in within Christian circles, look at what's going on. Look at the motives behind what's going on. Look at what financial gain is maybe being ascertained within these situations and ministries as well. And ascertain how people have been interacted with as well. It says here, not being lords over those entrusted to you. As implied before, serving the flock is a responsible job. God will hold leaders accountable for how they shepherd. People in position of authority, though, don't always do things the right way. And we've heard of the term heavy shepherding before, haven't we? Where people are kind of whipped into submission. You're not allowed to do anything without running it by a pastor or a leader. And it's not always in a positive sense. So we've got to be aware of these things. Just because somebody out there is in a leadership position doesn't mean that, one, they should be there, two, they're doing things right, three, their motive is correct, and four, their ministry has been run according to God's principles. And as I said, when we look outside externally, there's maybe even kind of things that you're kind of thinking of in your head, thinking, I can think of this one, I can think of that when there's things wrong there. And it's good to think along those lines, to have discernment, to think about what's right and what's wrong within the things that God's name has been put over. The elders here are told to be examples to the flock. If you want somebody to do something and you're not doing it yourself, what does that get a result in? People being willing to follow you, or people saying, nah, no thanks? Being a good example is important. People will rebel less if they feel they've been led in the correct way. But nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all fail. We all make our own mistakes. And sometimes that's a good example to make as well. Own up to a mistake. Own it. Confess it. And let people see how you rectify a mistake as well. And I know in my Christian life, one of the more encouraging things is to see how people deal with situations. Okay, you failed in this sense, this is what you've done, and this is where you are now. And you can then observe that and know, okay, I can copy that. I know how to get myself out of this mess I've been in just now. And we can be encouraged through that situation and through the sharing of that situation as well. But at the end of the day, people are going to struggle. They need to be helped. Sheep are valuable, but they're also vulnerable. And they have to be treated as such as well. They need to be fed, led and protected by the leaders over them. And sheep are best led from the front, when the sheep willingly lead and are not being beaten from behind because they have to do something. So that to the elders, Peter says in verse 4, when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away. At the return of Christ, those that perform well will get their due reward. And that's a fair situation, isn't it? And as we live our lives, as we do what we can do for God, at the end of the day, we will get our due rewards for what we are doing as well. You will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away. It's that kind of laurel crown, the kind of leaves that are made. That would fade after time, but here it's saying the crown that the chief shepherd gives will not fade at all. So bear in mind, what aspect are we coming from with this book? Persecution, hard times. Peter's putting the positive slant on it. Hard times, persecution might come, but at the end of the day, good, the blessing come at the end of it. Do the right thing and the blessings come and the rewards will come as well. If you don't get recognised in this life, doesn't matter. God always sees what you're doing. He writes it down in his book, and at the end of the day, God will give you every reward that you're due. Don't seek it from other people, but just look to him. So Peter's given encouragement to spur the elders, the leaders on in their continued service of pastoring, of teaching, of correcting God's people, of leading God's people, the specific ones under their care. That crown of glory awaits people that serve well. In the next section from verse 5, Peter encourages Christians to practice humility and endurance. So we're going back to the wider body of believers now. It says in verse 5, likewise, you younger people, submit yourselves to your elders. Yes, all of you be submissive to one another. Be clothed with humility, for God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So after Peter's words to the elders, he now gears things towards the younger people. Maybe we can sky out just to see how I split you up, young, old. Number you all? No. So for the younger people, and it also applies to all Christians as well, it's saying submit to your elders. Essentially, young people can be quite full of bravado and their own thoughts and their own opinions. And he's basically saying, younger people, look to your elders, look to those that are over you with the experience, with the maturity, with all the insights that they've learned over their many years that they have experienced. Look to them and learn from them. We've covered the aspect of submission quite a lot in 1 Peter. That being subordinate under somebody to fall under rank, that kind of military term. And this is just another way that we're looking at this aspect here, to really to cooperate with each other. It doesn't say we can bow down and kiss somebody's feet and yes sir, no sir, we'll do exactly what you say sir, but just that kind of humble cooperation with somebody. We've looked at in this book before, Christians being in submission to the government authorities over them, slaves to their masters, wives to husbands. We've looked at all these aspects, and this is just one other way of looking at submission here. And it applies to us all. An attitude of submission, some humility in our own kind of persona should be evident within each and every believer. As I was doing my kind of study, and I came across a wee quote which I thought was quite good. And it's somebody I don't know. I'm not into baseball or anything like that, but it's Casey Stengel, a famous baseball player and manager for the 60s. And he said, it's easy to get good players, but getting them to play together is the hard part. And I think that is quite true as well. There's many people do many good things, but to actually have that coordination, that humility, that working together without heads butting to and fro in the way is difficult. What was true in baseball can also be true in the ministry in local churches as well. We'll want to do our own thing at times and do it well, but we're called to work together as a body, to have that kind of cooperation with each other. Yes, to fall under submission and authority, but still to be working together towards a common goal. We should want to play nicely together. How often though do we not? How often do we have these wee kind of skirmishes and these kind of things happen? Where does God command the blessing? The Psalms tell us where there's unity in the middle. Unity, how do we get united together? How do we have that humility and cooperation with each other when we take pride out the way? Humility comes first, then we can cooperate and we can work with each other. So verse 5 says, yes, all of you be in submission to one another and be clothed with humility. In submission to one another. Be willing to serve each other. Be willing to do things for each other. Not thinking that you're above anyone else or somebody else is majorly above you, but we've got different tasks to undertake, but we're all on that level playing field to a certain degree. To have a lowliness of mind, that we are willing to do what's needing to get done. To think of others first instead of putting ourselves first in the way that we're conducting our lives. So to be clothed with humility, so we actually need to be clothed with it. When you get up in the morning, step out of your bed, do your clothes just jump on you automatically? That would be quite good. You actually have to see what you're putting on, Find your colour, find your matches, and physically dress yourself. Humility is not just going to jump on you. You're going to have to seek it out. Find it, pick it up, put it on, and walk out wearing it. Practically walk out wearing it as well. Clothed with humility, it really can be, some of the terminology say wear it like an apron. So it's that kind of thing we need to put on. And it kind of goes back to Jesus, I think, in the upper room, when he washed the feet of the people there. He put on that apron, he tied it round about him, and he humbled himself to wash the feet of those within that room. Can we do the same? Are we willing to humble ourselves? Jesus, everyone said, oh, you shouldn't be washing our feet, we should be washing yours. But Jesus wanted to serve. He was willing to humble himself to the lowest point, to make him the last within that room. Can we do that? Or does our head get in the way at times? D.L. Moody said this, Lord, make me humble, but don't let me know it. Because as soon as we think we're humble, we've kind of missed the point, haven't we? Make me humble, but don't let me know it. And I think that's what we need to pray to the Lord as well, that he does that change in our hearts and our spirits, that we are walking, clothed in humility, but we're unaware of it because it's just natural to us. So we're all responsible in this aspect to submit to those in authority over us and to submit to those round about us as well, to serve, to be humble, to put others before ourselves, to mimic the servitude of Jesus. Keep your socks and your shoes on. We might not wash feet, but what can we do instead? There's many ways that we can serve, many ways we can step and walk in humility within our own fellowships and without the fellowship as well. But first of all, we need to come under God's authority. We need to put him first, and if we put him first, the rest of the ducks should fall in their rows as well. We think about church, we think about situations we come across, and it's easy to say, it's easier for me to stand up here and say it, but it's quite hard to do as well, isn't it, at times? There are many within church that come to receive from the Lord, and that's good. We come to church and we're served. We listen to the praise and worship and we sing. We listen to the teaching, we take it on board. When we go out the front, we get served with a cup of tea and we sit down. How often though do we come and we get served, and we get served, and we get served, and we walk out the door and we go home? Where is our aspect of serving? It's a wee challenge to us, sometimes we just go through that routine, but how do we input into other people's lives? What can we do to support and encourage and serve other people that are within our sphere of influence? Who can you show love to? Who can you care for? Who can you provide to in some aspect? As you're showing all these things, try to be people that don't just take it and receive it, but then give it out. You serve others in response to it. We need to learn the way of humility. Put others first, willingly and joyfully, to want to do that. And it says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Are we too good to do certain things? Does it not even cross our minds to mop up the tea that's been spilt on the floor, but to shout somebody else over? Excuse me, there's a wee spillage there. It's simple things, but sometimes it's the simple things that show where our heart is. And at the end of the day, it's pride if we are not willing to do the smaller things and we want other people to do it for us. And it says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Where do we want to position ourselves? Do we want God to resist us? Or do we want him to be flowing into us? And we all know what the answer is there. So it says in verse 6, therefore humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. So Peter's encouraging us to humble ourselves under God's mighty hand. God's mighty hand, to humble themselves there. Essentially just to say, Lord, I know that you're sovereign over all things, you're in charge, you're doing everything. You know what's going on, you know the situation, you know the end from the beginning. I trust you at this moment in time. Even if I'm being persecuted going through this hard time, Lord, I know you're there. I'll submit myself under you. The hand of God sometimes, and quite often in the Bible, refers to discipline as well. Even if we're going through a point of discipline and correction, to say, Lord, okay, I give it over to you. I'll submit myself to you. Whatever you're trying to achieve here and now, do it. I'll give myself over to it. Do what you need to do. We always need to hand things over to the Lord instead of battling on in our own spirit and our own strength and our own will. Are we willing to humble ourselves and put ourselves completely into God's control? Easy to say, God, you're my saviour. You've saved me out of the pit of hell. Wonderful, hallelujah. Can we truly say, God, you are my Lord? You are the Lord. You are driving force. You are in control over my life. Everything I put into your control and I submit it to your control. That's a lot harder to say and to say it truthfully. But what are the rewards for humble service? What are the rewards for giving God complete control? He will give you all the grace that you need for the situations that you find yourself within. And it says that He will exalt you in due time. When the time is right, He will lift you up to where you need to be. If you're down in the pits just now, give yourself over to God, and at the right time, He will bring you out of your situation and show you what it's been there for. So as we personally consider being under the mighty hand of God, we can ask ourselves a few things. Do we have that humbly submissive attitude within church to those in authority, whoever they may be? If you hold a position of authority, whether it's a small thing or a bigger thing, do you use it and exert it in a humble way? Interacting with people, doing things the correct way. In general, in our interactions within the fellowship with each other, do you give as much as you receive? Knowing it's not possible for some people to do certain things for a variety of reasons, but as much as you can, do you give as much as you receive? Just things we can think upon. So in this situation of persecution, hard times, exhortations to the elders to kind of keep on going, you'll get your due rewards. The information to the fellow believers to be humble people, to put themselves under the mighty hand of God. Verse 7 says, cast all your care upon Him, for He cares for you. Remember this context of persecution here. Christians can have hard times, it can knock them off course, but cast all your cares on Him, for He cares for you. The word care comes from a root word. Part of the word can mean to divide. Your cares can divide. Your mind, your walk with God, divide it in all different directions because you're confused, you're not sure where you're going. A divided mind will bring in fear. And what was the song we sang this morning? You're no longer a slave to fear. You'll be a child of God. If you're a child of God, bring your cares and your fears and your anxiety to God. Give it to Him. Because if we continue on with divided thinking, our trust and our faith get knocked. And if our trust and our faith get knocked, then our walk goes a bit wonky as well. And before we know it, we're in a place we really don't want to be. So cast all your cares on Him. If we're under His hand, if we believe that He's sovereign over all things, then we know that God knows our situations. He's allowed them. He sees what's going on in the here and now, and He will get us through them as well. What He allows into our lives, He will have a resolution to them at the due time. He will exalt us in due time, in His time, because He is the Lord and He knows what's best. But in the meantime, we've got an action that we need to perform. Verse 7 says, do what with your care? Cast it. I'm not a fisherman, but I know what it means to cast a fishing line. Cast it. Pick it up physically, and you need to put some effort into it to throw it away. Throw it with a bit of force. Throw it away from you. Cast your cares to the Lord with some force and with purpose. But what does a fisherman then do? Reels it in. And that's what we shouldn't do with the Lord. When we cast our cares, cast them to the Lord and leave them there. Let Him deal with them. But often we reel them back, don't we? Okay, Lord, you can take that, you can take that, you can take that. But then we sit down, I'll take that one back. Lord, I'm not quite sure you're doing the right thing here, I'll take that one back as well. And before we know it, everything we've cast back to Him, we get back again. Once for all, try and throw your burdens to the Lord, knowing that He's sovereign and knowing that He can deal with them, and He alone can deal with them properly. But how much do we give to the Lord? Cast all your cares. Again, hard to do, but that's what our focus should be on, to cast all our cares towards the Lord, because He wants them. He cares for you. He wants to take them. He wants to take the burden off you, and He wants to help you get through them. Give it all to God. A wee thing I was reading was saying, Jesus will carry your backpack as you hike towards heaven. He will carry your burden, he will carry your backpack as you hike towards heaven. Because our daily life is quite often a hike. It's not a show in the meadow, it's a hike. There's hills and there's peaks and there's gravel and there's stones and there's all these kind of things that kind of go in our paths at times. But he will help us through it. Every single day he will help us through it. He's with us and he's for us during these times, and his grace is sufficient to get us through. But in the meantime, as we're going through these things, we're trying to cast our burdens to the Lord, as we're trying to kind of humble ourselves under his hands, we're trying to deal with each other in the right way. We need to prevent Satan from getting a hold of our lives. And in verse 8 it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. Resist him, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in the world." So firstly, what do we need to do? We need to be serious about the devil, that he is real, he's a reality in our daily lives. Here he's called the adversary, which means an enemy, an opponent, somebody that comes against us. Elsewhere he's called the devil, meaning a slanderer, a false accuser. And he also says here in Peter, a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. So quite a lot of information given about our enemy here. But one thing we do need to know is he's real and he can be ferocious. The devil is compared to a roaring lion here. Why a lion? What kind of analogies can we get with this lion here? Well, first of all, are lions wee pussycats? No, not really. They're quite ferocious, a big grown-up lion. They're much stronger than a man or a woman, and we can't fight a lion on our own. We need the Lord by our sides to come against a lion, to come against the attacks of the enemy. How do lions get their prey? Well, first of all, they prowl about, like the verse says here. They prowl, they assess, they sneak about, they gain all the information, look out for weaknesses, look for an opportune time to attack. That's why we need to be vigilant, looking out for these potential attacks against us. A lion, as he's prowling about, the prey often doesn't see the lion before that last moment. We need to be cleverer than that. We need to assess what our weaknesses are and deal with them. Ask the Lord to cover them over before the lion attacks in these areas. A lion will show no mercy and no compassion. And that's what Satan will do to us. He'll show us no mercy as he attacks our lives, wanting to bring us down. And lions are very good at creating fear. Lions mainly roar during the night. During the night, a roar apparently can be heard up to 5 miles away. And why do they do it at night? Why are they so loud? To do what to their potential victims? Put the fear of God into them. Have you felt Satan roar into your life in some shape or form, in some circumstance? That's what he wants to do. He wants to create fear in you, to get you running, to paralyse your faith. But if you listen to his roar, that is what's going to happen. What we need to listen to is God's word. Put God's word in the place of Satan's roar. He wants you devoured. The Lord wants you protected and to go forward in faith with him. The good news is that Satan, this lion, can be defeated, and the answer is to resist him. By being alert, by casting your anxiety to God, by being humble in service, steadfast in your faith, under the spiritual oversight of people round about you, and also to have fellow believers looking out for you as well. But this word to resist also means to stand up against. You need to stand up against the enemy as well. How do you stand up against somebody? You often hear, stand up against a bully. So if a bully punches you, what's the right thing to do? Is it to punch them back? I'm quite a bit cagey for some parents, what they might say here. Really, the answer is not to punch a bully back. What do we do instead? If Satan comes against you as a liar and accusations, we be the people of truth. When Satan wants to destroy, we try to build up and renew. Satan speaks words of death, we try to speak words of life. If Satan wants to steal, we are a generous giver in our own lives. When Satan slanders and accuses, we want to silence the gossips and all these slanderous words that are going around. When Satan tempts, we help other people with temptation to stop them making the wrong choices. When Satan attempts to bind and restrict somebody, we serve and we minister freedom in Jesus' name to them. When Satan tries to steal the word of God from people's hearts, we be the people that plant more seeds and pray that God will water them in due course. That is how we can stand up against the devil as well, in our own lives and in the lives of those round about us. And we have the assurance that God has already won the victory there. He might roar, it might be loud, but the victory is not his. But we need to be serious, and we need to be watchful. Be sober, be vigilant, be serious, be watchful. Don't be careless as you walk through your Christian life. There are principalities, there's powers on the go, and don't be careless and naive regarding them. Stand firm and strong in your faith. In this epistle, it's written to Christians, as I said, undergoing persecution. But Peter wants to kind of close this letter in a positive. And as we get to verse 10, it says, "May the God of all grace, who called us to his eternal glory by Jesus Christ, after you have suffered a while, perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. And to him be the glory and the dominion forever and ever. Amen." So no matter how bad the temptations, the trials, or the hardships are, Christians can have hope because the God of all grace is there. He is dealing with it. He'll see you through it, and he will do these things within you as well. With sufferings come blessings. God will perfect us, mean to equip us, to adjust us, to fit us together in the correct way. He might perfect us through the interactions of other people, or he might perfect us through hard times and trials. God knows what's best. Submit yourself under his mighty hand. God will establish you, mean to set you fast, fix you down, so as you're not blown about by the different winds of doctrine. He will set you fast and secure you down in your faith. After persecution, if you endure persecution, at the end of it you're going to be a stronger person because you've learned those lessons, you've put trust into action, that you'll be established even more within your faith. God will strengthen you. He will make you stronger through the different circumstances and trials of your life. It might be stronger in your faith, it might be stronger in your mindset, it might be stronger in your evangelism and your sharing your faith round about. And it says that God will settle you. Can it mean to lay a foundation? He'll place you in that firm foundation. You know, the house, what was the house built upon the sand do? It went splat, as the Sunday school song goes. But going through hard times and persecutions and things, when we endure and get to the end of it, we become the house on the rock. We're secured, we're settled, we're built up in that way. Persecution, it might not be good at the time, but it is only for a while, as this verse says here, that we will be perfected, established. All these things will come to us when God does that work of perfection within us. And the thought is we're going to glory one day. After all this is done, we've got this eternity, this glory to look forward to. Jesus suffered in his life on this earth. We have to follow in his footsteps. If suffering is going to come to us in some shape or form, but suffering's for a while and glory is for eternity. So verse 12 says, "By Silvanus, our faithful brother, as I consider him, I have written to you briefly, exhorting and testifying that by this true grace of God in which you stand. She who is in Babylon, elect together with you, greets you, so does Mark, my son. Greet one another with a kiss of love, and peace to you all who are in Christ Jesus." So by remaining faithful to Christ, we stand in the true grace of God, and we can take comfort knowing that the God of all grace is with us now, with us tomorrow, and with us each and every day, and will never leave our sides. Peter closes this letter off, signs it off, saying, greet each other with a kiss of love and peace to you. Greet each other with a kiss of love, basically, show love. In your Christian walk, as your interaction with each other, show love and pray for peace. Love and peace, love and peace, love and peace. As we looked at the kind of general measure across 1 Peter, love and peace and ministering to each other is one of the kind of key cross-cutting themes here. Peace to all that are in Jesus Christ. So when the suffering days are over, there's glory days ahead. God will do something in us through the times that we're going through, good, bad and indifferent. Even if we don't understand what's going on, God is doing a work in you, for you, within you. It might be changing you, it might be changing your situation, but God is doing something. Cast your cares upon him and try your best not to reel them back, knowing that he's going to deal with your situations. We're going to a place where there's no more trials, no more tears, no more sorrows. All these things will be replaced with glory and peace and love. That's what we're focusing on. In your hard times, in your difficult times, focus on the glory that's ahead of you. A place where the devil cannot follow and where the Lord is a light for eternity. But as we wait and as we finish, we can ask ourselves a few questions and be honest with our own minds. Are we truly surrendering our will to God? Are we truly sending our cares and our worries up to him? And are we being strengthened in our walk with God in the here and now? Are we seeing God's work in our lives here and now? And if the answer to these questions in any shape or form is no, then we know that we need to focus upon him and give ourselves and give our situations and give our cares and our worries over to him. As we get our vertical relationship, us and the Lord, corrected, then that will affect and really bolster our relationships horizontally with each other as well. We can show each other the love and the humility and the grace that God is showing us. So we'll just close today with the words of Peter. May the God of all grace, who called us to his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after you have suffered a while, perfect, establish, strengthen and settle you. To him be the glory and the dominion forever and ever. Amen. We'll pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the encouragement from the Apostle Peter in this little letter here, Father. We recognise, Lord, that we can all go through times of difficulty, times of persecution, whether it's for our faith or whether it's for other reasons, Lord. Help us to humble ourselves, to submit ourselves under your mighty hand, Lord. Knowing that you are sovereign over all things, that nothing comes into our lives that takes you by surprise. You see it, you know it, and you understand it, Lord, that you see the end from the beginning. When we think we've been overcome, when we think we can't endure, that you can perfect us and establish us and do a work within us to get us through to the other side, strengthened and settled, Lord. We recognise, Lord, that our enemy, the enemy of our souls, is real, that Satan is real, Lord, that he does prowl about like that roaring lion, wanting to devour us. We ask you, Lord, that you would help us by your Spirit to have that discernment, to be sober, to be vigilant, to be looking out for the schemes and the wiles of the enemy against us and those round about us as well, Lord. Help us, Lord, to stand against them, to resist them, not in our own might and our own power, but in yours, Lord. As he seeks to devour, Lord, that we can seek to build up and breathe life into things, Lord, that whatever he tries to do, Lord, that we can counteract it by your Spirit in the right way, Lord. We give you thanks that you don't leave us in our situations to deal with them ourselves, but you want us to cast our cares and our worries and our situations to you, Lord. We pray, Father God, you'd encourage us and help us to do that. And that, Lord, help us all to be submissive to each other, to be clothed in that humility that you ask us to be. Help us to develop in this and to be clothed in humility as a garment, Lord, as you encourage us in these scriptures here, Father. So just, Lord, plant these words within us and help us to remember them when we need to. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.